Hello, Drama. I hope you've had a good week. Thank you for showing me your work. If you have sent it in already, I like looking at it and your notes. So I'm going to quickly recap from page 33, where you should have looked at how the characters are reacting around the wood scene where they've found the man. And this is a darkly comic scene. Looking at Lou, Danny, Leah in particular makes the comedy, because I think she's quite a reasonable one, isn't she? And the audience understands Leah's point of view because the others are sort of comedically stupid and confused, or are they? Or they're just going along with it, or it's like wishful thinking. So it's just yet funny with the idea of them having found the man that doesn't exist, which ties into the concept of DNA and DNA evidence, which comes in about 36. So if we think about 33, 35 first, just to recap. So have you got some quotations from this section about those characters? So how is Leah reacting when they say the man's been found? Like, how does it go from confusion to relief to frustration to anger, but with the other characters? So what about Lou, Danny, Mark? Let's leave Kathy for a while because she comes in about page 36. So let's just make sure you understand the beginning of this section, the wood section in part 2. So Danny explains that he's in custody now. They're questioning him, and then Leah, but how? I mean, who? How? Who is? How? That's on page 33. And then Lou, don't know. Leah, who is he? Lou, he's the man who kidnapped Adam. So that's funny, isn't it? Because no one kidnapped Adam. So I quite like this section. So how are they reacting? So how would you have the characters reacting to each other, to the news, to build up tension for the audience and entertain with the humour and show their relationships and how they're feeling? Some of them intentionally misunderstanding, or some of them actually confused because they're a bit sick. So you can play with that, couldn't you? So, and then on page 36, so make sure you read this bit now. So stop now if you haven't read that bit to remind yourself. So page 36, 40, stop now. So you should have come back and make sure you know that part. So Kathy comes in and she's excited because they wanted to interview her. So she's really enjoying the attention. So page 36, she explains that. And then page 37, the penny drops with the audience because she explains what. So we've got more beats. We haven't explicitly talked about the beats. You worked out what they are at the moment and how you'd portray them, because they're quite important and powerful. How you'd have a lighting or sound effect or projection, or have even the actors do some movement or something. So anyway, so page 37. Richard says at the top, DNA evidence, and Leah, exactly, they need DNA. No, they've got DNA evidence. And the beat happens, this moment. What? The description, they've got DNA evidence linking him to the crime. What are you talking about? We spoke to a reporter. They matched up the DNA evidence they found on the jumper to a police database, and they came up with this man who answered the description perfectly. That's impossible. Well, it's happened. No, because we made that description up and they got DNA from a random beat. She turns to Kathy. Kathy. They all stare at Kathy. So there's really long pauses, really long, powerful moments that could be played, or projections, or Kathy's face, like innocence or smirking or enjoying all of this, but also the audience realizing that not just Adam's life is ruined, and possibly their lives, this innocent guy's life is ruined. So Kathy says, page 37, you told us to get DNA evidence. We got DNA evidence. We did what you said. Right, okay, hang on. Where did you get the DNA evidence from? From a man, like you said. Beat. It's real tension, real tense moment. A man down at the sorting office. They stare at her. What? Well, we thought, you'd given a description, so we thought, well, I thought, show initiative. We'll look for a fat balding postman with bad teeth. They stare at her. There were quite a few. Again, comedy with really dark undercurrent that this innocent man, ugly innocent man, has been framed for a murder, child molestation and murder. Then so reactions. So Danny, oh my god. Kathy, what? Lou, oh my god. We showed initiative. This is Kathy. And who asked you to do that, says Leah. Kathy. Richard, we showed initiative. That is the most stupid. Then Danny says, oh Jesus. Kathy is still questioning why. Lou, oh Jesus Christ. Notice the repetition there, like she's following the others. That sheep idea we talked about in her character. And then Richard, what we wanted was to cover up what happened, not to frame someone else. So that's the key thing now, isn't it? So this development, how do they feel? So which characters feel that things are even worse? Which characters feel things are even better? What does the audience feel now? Okay, so you can stop now and find some of those characters' quotations if you haven't got them already. So Brian's quite important in this section, so page 39, 40, 41, and Phil. So Phil, really dark here. So think about John Tate at the beginning, the leader, and what he threatened to hurt people. Now Phil's got to the same place. So Brian, what do they want to use Brian for? So Brian comes in, he's crying, I'm not going in. I'm not going to the police station. I can't go in. It's bad enough talking to him before, saying what I said, but I can't do it again. I can't identify him. I can't go in there. Don't make me go in there. I'm not going in there. I can't face it. They look at me. They look at me like I'm lying, and it makes me cry. I can't stand the way they look at me. And then, because I cry, they think I'm telling the truth. And I'm crying because I'm lying. I feel terrible inside. So that's just his lines in that scene on page 39. And then look at the bottom of page 40 with Phil. So we've got a couple more tense moments and beats on page 40. So look at those. Phil's being quiet. It's like festering, brooding, building up. So look right in the middle. So at the top, Phil walks over to Brian and lays a hand on his shoulder. This is a bad situation. We didn't want the situation, but we've got this situation. It wasn't supposed to be like this, but it is like this. Beat. You're going in. Now, how would you play that moment? So is that all pally and kind, supportive, like this wolf in sheep's clothing, isn't it? So he's actually a wolf. He's actually a predator. He's acting all pally and friendly. And Brian's no, Phil yes. Brian no, Phil. So what would you do? So he's got his hand on his shoulder. So have him squeezing. Would he have it getting closer to his neck, closer around his back, to his head? Then right in the middle, yes, yes, yes. Sorry, you have to go in, and that, or we'll take you up the grill. And the grill is obviously where Adam was murdered. So, murdered. So he's threatening to kill Brian. And at the bottom, we'll take you up the grill now. We'll get you by the arms, by the legs, and we'll swing you onto the grill. We'll throw rocks at you until you drop through. You'll drop through. You'll fall into the cold, into the dark. You'll land on Adam's corpse and you'll rot together. Phil is quite a dark character here, isn't he? What do you think of Phil here? So, how, when this is happening, what are the other characters doing? Do they believe Phil? They've already done it to one person. It's different interpretations, isn't it? So what you'd want for each character. So, okay, so looking at the narrative reveal there with these characters and the story and the plot line. Page 39 to 43. So we've got Leah's monologue. So we've just had that death threat, and now, well, threatening the others, keep your mouth shut, tell no one, or we'll all go to prison. Just get on with things. Very forceful, very calm, but he's just threatened a lot of people, obviously particularly Brian. And then we're change the scene, back into the field. So we need that sort of bit of tension in the wood. We need a bit of time in the narrative and the story to unfold. So while Phil's set the plan in motion, everyone do what I say. We need that in the narrative structure. We need that bit of relief and that time for it to be believable, don't we, as well? And the time has passed for things to happen or not to happen. The development of the plot of the characters. So page 39 to 43 is death threats. And then we've got page 41 to 43, Leah's monologue. So we've got another monologue. So call this the deja vu monologue. So if we have the bonobo monologue, we have the hamster death monologue, and then the deja vu monologue, or the Phil monologue. And just so you keep them in clear in your minds in order. And obviously there's the very first one, isn't it? What are you thinking? No, don't tell me. Sorry, I'm stupid. Do I discuss the monologue or the thinking monologue? So just find a way for you to remember each one and where they come in which order. So have a read of that, Leah's monologue. Do it now, or I'll read it now and you can just follow along. So, the field, Phil and Leah. Phil is picking his teeth, so with silence. Suddenly Leah jumps up, shocked. Whoa, 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 whoa. No reaction from Phil. I just had deja vu, but really strong. And you were, and I was. I mean, we were just here, and I was sitting like that, and whoa, I've been here before, Phil. Phil, bit of irony there, isn't it? We've seen him in the field a lot of the time. He carries on kicking his teeth. I knew you were going to do that. I said, Phil, and you picked your teeth. Phil, you just carried on picking your teeth. Oh my God, this might be the real thing. Maybe I've been here before. Maybe this has all happened before. Phil, do you think this has happened before? I know what you're going to do next. I can see. I know. You're gonna do nothing. Phil does nothing. Yes. Yes. You see? This is amazing. The world has just changed. Reality is not what we think. Or maybe this isn't real. Maybe we're caught in some sort of, hang on. A bird is going to, a starling is going to land by that stone. Now, nothing happens. Now, still nothing happens. Any minute. Now, again, nothing happens. Leah sags. Phil, look at that sky. Have you ever seen a sky like that? I've never seen a sky quite like that. Strange time we've been born in. No other time quite like this one. Do you think it's possible to change things? I know, but I feel like this time, I don't know, this time I feel like this is an important time. Do you think people always feel like that? Do you think we're doomed to behave like people before us did? Phil, 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 and then there's a big pause. Phil! Slowly, Phil turns to her. That's a key bit, isn't it? So there's this repetition of Phil and a big Phil. So how would you have this happen in this moment? Phil is the first time he properly reacts. He turns to her. If you change one thing, you can change the world. Do you believe that? No. Right. Well, I do. I do, Phil. Beat. Phil. So, interesting. So I do deja vu, things repeating. And this quote, we're doomed to behave like people before us did. And deja vu, DNA, and animalistic, animal-like behavior, are like destiny. Are we more than what we are? There's all this philosophy about humanity and war and violence, and things are repeated in cycles. I don't know what you think about it, but is humanity destined to be violent? That type of thing. And deja vu is an interesting concept, isn't it, about things repeating and things happening, patterns of behaviour. Remember, think back to the themes of the play at the beginning about teen violence and fear of terrorism and violence, patterns. So, why is Phil always eating during these exchanges? What do you think about that? Have you got any ideas about that? When she repeats his name 10 times, finally forcing reaction, what point does this signal in their relationship? Is this the beginning of the end, or does the possibly plaintive final Phil betray something else? So she's like pleading and sad at the end of it, like desperate. What's she desperate for? If you were these characters, so if you were Phil, why would you be eating? Why are you eating? Is it actually comfort eating? Is that what he has to do? Is that what makes him feel better? It's like a habit that he has. Does it stop him because he's actually worried that if he didn't have something in his mouth, an excuse not to eat, that he might have to kiss her, like things like that? Could have, like the punk rock theme. We talked about gender and sexuality, so it could be something in there about Phil. Up to interpretation, isn't it? Motivation. So make sure you've got this thing down, please. So look back from the pages that we've read, 33 to 44. Key quotes to explain each character's feelings, explain how they feel and why. It's really important you know their motivations, because we don't know which scene is going to come up in the exam. And the best people, the best marks, the best responses show you understand the characters. So that would be good. And at this point, so Phil, everyone else stays calm. So just before the monologue, the end of the scene, where we find out that a real person has been framed, one who matches the fake description, because Kathy found someone who matched the fake description, to get their DNA on the jumper, on Adam's jumper, which has his DNA. So there is evidence. All very clever. So everyone else stays calm. Keep your mouth shut. Tell no one, or we'll go to prison. So at this point in the play, what would you do? So if you were in the group, or if you were cast as one of the characters, either way, what would you do? So what would you do? What would you do if you were one of the characters? Think about it. So the magic gift, remember Stanislavski. So you are you, but if you were Danny, choose a sequence of lines, a line, what would he do? What would he be thinking? So obviously, put yourself there. So if you were part of the gang, what would you do? How would you be feeling? Then, if you were Leah, you are you. But if you were Leah, how would Leah react differently to you? So just, rehearsal technique. This idea, really important. These could come up in your exam as well. In the scene, if you were playing the character of Phil, or if you were directing the scene, what rehearsal technique would you suggest for the actor playing Phil to help understand his power or his situation or his motivation in this scene? So magic if is a nice one to explain. So just have a think about those. If you want to pause it now to do that, choose some characters, maybe do it at the same time as the quotations. Okay, and then this idea, Leah. So just this deja vu monologue. So what do we know about Leah so far? So you've got lots of notes on Leah. So has anything changed? Why is she acting like she did in this? How was she acting in this scene before? What does she think about Phil when she's witnessing him threaten most of the group? Why is she still sitting next to him? So what do we know? So just recap everything we know about Leah. Do that now. And then these are her key scenes. If you want to just flick through, so put 10 to 12. There they are. We're presented with a one-sided relationship. You need me as much. So Leah's insecurity and desire for some response from Phil sears through the text. Phil is on stage, but usually eating ice cream or from Starburst, etc. So just have a flip through, add to anything about Leah here. So in those monologue action. Examine the way Leah directly addresses Phil. What does she say? What techniques does she use? How does Phil use facial expressions, body language, and some responses to what she says? So I know some of you have already done that for a couple of the monologues. 3 key moments I think I asked for. So think about Phil and what he does. How can you give clues to the audience that relate to what she's doing? So if you're writing about this, the examiner really wants to show relationships, space, voice, movement between Phil, but also what the audience should be focusing on. And that show your sophistication. So why is there so little response to what she says, and how might his later be foreshadowed by his lack of response and concern to what Leah is saying? So he's built up to death threats and violent threats, murder threats. If you've read on, you know it gets even worse. So this moment foreshadowing what happens later as well. So another rehearsal strategy, bread and butter one, questions for Leah and Phil, so hot seating. So we talked about Stanislavski's magic if, motivation, and now another really good rehearsal strategy. So I'd like to come up with some questions for Leah, questions for Phil, and then answer them yourselves. Write them down. What do you think? Have you got different interpretations for him? Is he scared? Is he a psychopath? Kathy's a psychopath. What about Leah? Why is she so weak? That type of thing. So, hot seating really important. So get some good questions. So got some good ideas about all of the characters in this key moment, this really dark comic moment where a real person has been framed. But then it gets even darker because Phil becomes quite violent, threatening violence, and then why is Leah reacting like she does? Why doesn't she stand up to Phil? Because she's quite reasonable, it seems, isn't she, in the wood scene? But then, well, what does it say about us, about boys, girls, relationships, teenagers, humanity, what makes us what we are, our DNA? So there's lots for us to think about, and that is the end of section 2. So thanks for listening to me. Write down some notes, make sure you're understanding what's going on. Like I said, I'm happy for you to keep reading on. We're nearly to the end. This 4 is quite short. Okay, thank you very much, and send me your work, please.